capacity Europe. It's great to be able to connect with you all while many of us are still facing travel restrictions. You've joined the Leveling Up or Glitch in the System, or eGaming Become a Moneymaker for Telcos session for the Future Applied track. Before we get started in just a moment, I'd like to thank this year's sponsors for the support of Capacity Europe 2020. If you've got time to see at least some of the companies that you can see on screen here, then please do. Please also use Capacity Europe 2020 virtual platform to network with fellow industry peers and visit the virtual exhibition stands throughout the duration of the event. I would like to share to you the speakers for this panel session. But before I hand over to the moderator of this session, Filippo Ghiacci, Vice President, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa, for Docomo Digital to kick us off. I just want to explain a few quick notes before we get this started. The panel will be taking questions towards the end of the session. Please submit your questions throughout the course of this session using the swap card live chat function, so it can be addressed then. You can see it on the questions tab. The session will be recorded and made available on demand for 30 days in the conference room section of the platform. So with all of that in mind, over to you, Filippo, to start today's panel session.
Thank you very much, David, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this panel session. Today I have the great pleasure to moderate this discussion about monetization of the e-gaming sector with an outstanding panel of experts. And I will take this chance to ask actually for the panelists to introduce themselves to the audience. Maybe we can start from Samuel, Daniel, Andreas, and Vijay. Samuel, I think you are on mute.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, maybe you can introduce. We can introduce the panelists. We can have a short self-introduction for the audience. Maybe, I mean, Daniel, would you mind introducing yourself, and then we can take a round?
Sure. So I'm Daniel Ahmed. I'm a senior analyst at Nico Partners. We are a market research and consultancy firm that specializes in the Asia gaming market, but we do cover the global games market in general. We usually work with clients to help them understand certain trends and demand in the gaming market and how they can succeed in gaming.
Brilliant.
Hi, this is Vijay Kartigesu. I'm the CEO of Swamio Media. I grew up in the telco world. I'm from Canada. So I'm proud to say that I have most of the Canadian telco, cable co backbone experience, built and ran really large telco infrastructures. Now, Swamio, what we are trying to do is trying to connect telecom operators to the gaming world. So we provide solutions to telecom operators to reach the millennials and the digital natives, especially through a gaming solution. So they can actually increase the ARPU and reduce the churn by attracting the gamers. And this is I'm looking forward to have a nice discussion in this panel.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Filippo. Thank you, Capacity Europe. I'm Samuel Carvalho, Head of Marketing of Angola Cables. Angola Cables is a leading wholesale provider that runs their operation in Africa, Europe, and Americas. My role as Head of Marketing, a part of the brand marketing and institutional issues, is to design new products, new streams of business, and new streams of operation to bring our efficient Atlantic routes and submarine routes to our customers, optimized to our customers, and to reach Africa, Europe, Americas, and in this case, e-gaming nodes more efficiently.
Okay. So my name is Andreas Bellinger. Hello, everybody. I work with Telecom Austria A1 for almost 19 years now. 15 of them was in mergers and acquisitions, but in the couple of last years, I moved more towards the innovation part of the company. And I have a very strong focus on esports and gaming. And hence, I'm very glad to discuss the possibilities together with you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. And just one word about myself. My name is Filippo Giacchi, and I'm the Vice President for Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa at Docomo Digital. Docomo Digital is part of entity Docomo, so we are a mobile operator. And with the brand Digital, we identify our international payments business. Our job is to connect telcos and content providers, gaming and other industries to do business, and we do so with more than 200 telcos globally in all regions. So that's me. Great. So I think intros are made, so we should with no further ado, dive into the conversation. I think, Daniel, I would like to ask you if you can share a bit of the background that you have for prepared for this discussion. We know that gaming and esports is very big in Asia. We know that there is a very successful business case here in this region for this vertical, and perhaps there are some learnings or some useful things that other regions can learn or can apply to intercept this trend. So Daniel, over to you, and we can, I think, elaborate more on that once we've seen what you prepared.
Thank you, Filippo. I will just share a few slides just to sort of introduce the games market and what the talk will be about, what the discussion will be about, and then we can get into some of the main questions. So as we cover the Asian market specifically, we always look at what is going on in Asia, what the big trends are there, and how they can apply to the rest of the world, and how game developers, publishers, telecom companies, etc., can look at what is happening in Asia and sort of apply that either there or outside. Because we think that Asia, especially in terms of eGaming, esports, is the leader for this new sort of direction that gaming is heading in. So I have on the screen here some slides about the China market, the Southeast Asia and Taiwan market. You can see game revenue per year and sort of the growth of PC games and mobile games over the next few years. And there's also the number of gamers in general from 2019 through 2024. And so over the last decade, gaming has really grown to represent one of the largest consumer media markets in the world. And the global games revenue right now is about 146 billion as of the end of 2019, which is a huge market. And gaming has become a truly international industry, bringing together game development, design, and production teams, often located in multiple regions around the world. They're distributing games globally to audiences in dozens of countries. There's other aspects to gaming, not just in terms of development, but live streaming, for example, esports, and other new technologies and applications in gaming that we're seeing grow, including VR and AR, for example. So it's this global nature and the introduction of new technologies over the past decade almost that has enabled this fast growth of the industry. So this slide is about esports in Asia. So this does not include game revenue, but instead tournament revenue and prize pools, etc. And so we see that Asia is the leader in esports at the moment. It accounts for 50% of the world's esports revenue. It has the most fans. There's 510 million fans that watch, engage, or play in esports. And this is a large opportunity for not just developers and publishers, but for telecoms to look at the esports landscape, which I'm showing on the screen here, and play a part not just in the back-end network for the games themselves, but in terms of sponsorships, in terms of running the tournaments locally, in terms of providing services directly to the user that provide value. There's also an opportunity for cloud gaming, not just in Asia, but globally, and how telecoms can fit in there under the internet section on this slide. This is specific to Asia, but generally can apply globally as well. I'll end on this slide, which is from McKinsey, and it just gives a quick overview of esports and traditional sports and what the differences are and how games play, how say online content, the leagues, the tournaments, the franchises, broadcasting is all similar, but at the same time requires a strong sort of back end and connectivity to enable those games to be played in these tournaments. And you can see here, for example, how, for example, the game developers on the back end require services from telecoms, how the game requires that, how the tournaments themselves require that. And in this talk, obviously, we will discuss sort of the opportunities across this entire ecosystem and more. But I'll hand over back to Filippo now.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I mean, that helped a lot. I think a couple of observations. Of course, we see a lot of big names in this presentation, in this ecosystem. We also see that there are very non-negligible revenues already attached to it in Asia. But what is in there actually for telcos in this is the big question, and how are telcos monetizing or thinking to monetize this ecosystem? Maybe Andreas, would you like to start answering that, and then we can complete our round? VJ, Samuel. I think Andreas, you're mute.
Yes, thank you. Well, if you think about it, as there is the game and there is the player, and contrary to regular sports, in gaming and esports, the telco actually plays a significant role in the player experience. So let's say we have 3 typical use cases that a gamer has. One is he's playing online against other people, so multiplayer. What he needs is very low latency. Okay, he needs a new update for his game, which comes like every 2 weeks, 17 gigabyte. So he needs bandwidth, a lot of bandwidth, or he wants to, watch his favorite streamer streaming a game. Then he needs a very stable connection to the internet and to his streamer. So those are actually things that we as telcos have in our hands, but the game publisher depends on our services. And then, so these are like the internet connectivity parts, but then there is also, we already have as telcos or ISPs, the customer connection. So we bill them anyway. So why not bill also for partners like game publishers? There are so many things that you can touch on, and I'm sure the other guys also have very good ideas on how to connect gamers and the publisher.
Thanks. Vijay.
Sure, I can kind of tap onto that. Thank you, Andreas. I think that's a good way to, there are 3 billion, almost 3 billion gamers around the world. And all of these gamers are a customer of a telco. That's given, right? They have to be there. And the latency is very important. And the problem I see is, it's the telco's part. I came from the telco world. We are expected to provide that low latency, high bandwidth. But the issue I see is we don't get that money, right? So if you look at in North America, digital millennials spends $112 a month on gaming. That dollar amount just bypasses telco, goes to completely different audience, different players, OTT players, game publishers. So telco, this is not just gaming, whether it's Netflix or anything, they are expected to provide premium bandwidth, low latency connection, but the money doesn't, because that's the expectation. So where we are trying to do is working with telecom operators, the assets they have is they have the local last mile, which is very important. Whether it's 5G or fiber to home, the last mile is there and the gamers are there. I think instead of just looking at a connectivity solution, premium connectivity is good, but that's the foundation is expected. But going beyond that. So what I see today, most of the telecom operators go esports and gaming as an advertisement, kind of a cost center. You actually provide sponsorship. I think there's an opportunity to be just turn that around and make it as a profit center by offering a gaming hubs, because the issue with latency and low latency is gamers complain about it, but you know what they value community. Because people I see we are more focusing on Asian communities, Asian gamers. They're allowed to play in different countries because they like to play with same skill set people, or different communities they play around, or they play in a community where they actually allow a streamer and they play with the streamer. So they value the community more. So the telecom operators have an opportunity to create what I call hyperlocal communities. So the communities around the telco, communities around the country, communities within the country with the school system, for example. And also there are communities within the country with, there are streamers and influencers, and creating a community with them. So, I give an example, like my kids, they play games, lots of games, but they don't care they don't care and they don't know who is the internet provider is. It is expected. It's like a utility pipe, right? It's like gas line or electricity. They want it and they don't care. So that connection is lost between the telecom operator and these digital natives. The emotional connection is lost. I think telcos have to offer way more than a premium bandwidth, beyond connectivity solution, and bring these kids together and associate them with the brand. So this is one of the solutions that we are providing. So I'll give you an example. Sri Lanka Telecom is one of our, I see Ceylon in your background, Filippo. So I originally came from Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Telecom is one of our partner. They trying to offer a gamer internet. So the gamer internet has premium connectivity, but that's just foundation. But beyond that is they offer a hub so the gamers can connect and play, not just tournaments. Tournaments are one thing. Esports is, I see only 1% of the gamer population play esports, right? And there are 99% of them, they're just casual players. So just play tournaments and challenges and bring in the community streamers to kind of have a hub and a home base. So that's kind of one of the ways telcos need to think about, go beyond the premium connectivity solution and attack and bring in that sense of community.
Yeah, I think Vijay, this is a great example of additional value that the telcos can provide, and definitely something to look at, depending on the strategy, depending on many factors, but clearly one clear direction to look at. Samuel, over to you.
Well, this actually is the key factor and the key item to this conversation, because I think the e-gaming or the fact that esports are being, of course, played by 1% of the gold gaming community, of the old gaming audience, but streamings, contents in streams, and of course the attractability of these new players that are streamers are not just big competitors. They play a big role to the success of e-gaming and the success of this industry. I actually think that the key factor for the success of e-gaming and the real factor for us to see that this could be a really new revenue stream to the operators, that the low latency connections, the scalable networks, and the reach of the local reach to global connectivity, global competition, and streaming are the key factor for us to for once in a while give up the current saying that the internet is going to be a commodity, because the premium internet will not be should not be treated as a commodity. So also carriers and telcos will need to adapt in order to survive to this new gig economy, because if we only provide a regular IP or data transfer service alone, they will not be, in fact, effective to the overall consuming of internet, because the overall consuming of internet is going to be blindfold to the brands, the big brands or the big telcos. They only want efficiency. So, and they only want efficiency, and they are saying that, and they are overseeing that the big independent infrastructures providers and the hyperscale content providers as Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft are representing more than 2/3 of the subscriber fiber cable bandwidth capacity growth. And this should mean something to the future, because they are paving the future of the connectivity, and wholesale carriers as Angola Cables and the telco providers and IXP need to change their business strategy, their business model, and create some kind of innovative products to address not just e-gaming, but to new kind of business streams, to the OTTs, for them to be digital competitive in this race. Otherwise, in coming years, we will see that the internet, or the good internet that needs, that everyone needs to bring OTTs to life, VPNs to life, and that's the kind of meaning to gaming, should be treated as a commodity, and the revenues doesn't appear to any other of the operators. The other fact that I would like to highlight here, it's something that Vijay already mentioned, it's that we need to work on providing better routes to IXPs and PNIs within the connectivity to the last miles. Why is
Actually,
that?
Samuel, if I can stop you for a moment here,
Yeah,
because we have you're anticipating a very big topic that I would like to introduce in one moment.
Okay, I will save it for later.
Yeah, please, because it's a very important one. I don't want to spoil it just now. I see Andreas that has something to add.
Can I just add something to Vijay and Samuel, please? I have a confession to make. I'm in my mid-40s and I still play video games, okay? And I love playing it. And the reason I mention that in this business context is this is one of my hobbies, and you are willing to spend money on your hobbies. That's just a fact. And especially as soon as you have reached a status where you don't really care about that 10 or 20 euros or US dollars, more or less, you want to have the best. And if you do something on a professional or semi-professional or just passionate level, you don't care about the money that you spend for it. And that's where gaming kicks in. Those kids have PCs for like 10 for 2,000, 3,000 euros, best equipment. They don't they care about their connectivity, but they don't really care about how much it costs. At least that's my private observation.
One quick thing and just to add, Andreas, gamers are one of those species that they are for life. So if you get them this is a good example of it. Doesn't matter how old you are. You are a gamer at 6, and you are a gamer at 16, and you are a gamer at 50. Right? So this is one of the things that marketing department usually misses. Usually traditional marketing kind of put age categories and demographics, right? Gaming is not like that. Once you get them when they are kids, they are your lifelong customer. Right? So this is very important for telco to understand. It's completely different marketing style, right? You need to get them now, and they will be your loyal customers forever.
Yeah, I think we hear that loud and clear. I think so. I mean, if I can summarize and try to build on what we've just said, it seems as of course there is a disproportionate value between what a telco actually is enabling for this industry today. So the investment, the efforts, and the money that is put into enabling this business on one hand, but of course on the other hand, the monetization is still to be at least in draft, okay, for the time being. So building on that, and now in fact, Samuel, here I come to your previous point. What are measures or business models that telcos can develop to monetize this huge trend? You were mentioning, so I capture premium connectivity already in a couple of our comments. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit more on the concept of premium connectivity and similar. I was very interested to hear what you were saying about VPNs and networking paths. That it could be a very relevant point here.
Yeah. Yes, I think our view and Angola Cable's view on innovation in the near future of innovation is no matter what your company is based, and we are based in Africa, we are based in Brazil, we are based in South Africa, and we have business connectivity business in Americas, and we address all these markets ongoing to Europe, rings and ongoing to Asia. And so we are in this middle point of the connectivity, the world connectivity. And by saying that, we take good care of our best values, which is efficiency. And our main goal or our core business is efficiency and optimizing routes. And therefore, I think that this could be the really proposition from the old markets, the old market of wholesale, of the old market of carriers, to be effective, to be optimizers to their and deliver this kind of service to their markets. Regarding gaming, what are we doing? And the question, we're answering preferably your question. We saw on this confinement, on this a huge demand of gaming, a major use demand of gaming, of OTTs, and this kind of demand of data. And we saw that the big demand of data doesn't actually is related to increase of revenues for carriers and telcos. That's why we have worked on bringing our intelligence and bringing our engineering to the front end and bring them to understand better what are the connectivity issues, the connectivity to servers and gaming, the effective routes that we could bring to the market. And then we work on that. Of course, we understand that the gamers use VPNs, and we understand that they call them GPNs, gaming private networks, to connect on their homes. But we were not people. Our business is not overseeing what needs to be done to the IXPs, and what needs to be done is to create, of course, the routing preferable prefix to the gamers to connect with their carrier, their local carrier on the last mile better to the gaming, and for them to see that if the last mile carrier is actually provided by a big company that have these effective routes, you will have better latency improvements in order of less 20 milliseconds or less 30 milliseconds. And we saw that by providing a new stream of IP, because everyone delivers IP, but not everyone delivers the best IP to some kind of connectivity. And that's what we are talking here. We are talking about to see how the internet could be provided in the most efficient way, and how the internet could be sold in the more revenue stream to everyone that buys the internet in the chain, the whole chain of the internet, the IXPs, of course, last mile provider, and of course the customer. Of course, the customer could buy an OTT to gaming, a VPN of gaming, but the VPN needs to be anchored in a major provider. That's why people strangely talked to me and said, "Why, Samuel, are you representing a company, African company, where there are not so much gamers in Africa?" Okay, African gamers needs to connect American servers, European servers, and Asia servers. Brazilian gamers needs their own servers, but they need to perform better to American servers, European servers, and Asian servers. And that's why we understand it by giving them a preferable route of IP and adding them performably to prefixes, and then to contact or connect the companies that makes the other part, not just the infrastructure of the internet, the gaming providers, the tournament providers, and the other part of the chain, to bring them to be more close to the gamers by virtualizing their service, and therefore adding a clear service, a clear premium service to the end gaming. So how this big model perform better? Of course, we could have better routes, better connection to IXPs, better routings or remote peerings connectivity. Of course, yes, but not everyone invests like we did in knowledge, in infrastructure and intelligence to read the market needs. And this kind of investment needs to be paid somewhat. And that's the kind of business model we are trying to have here, because people to see that everyone could deliver internet, but not everyone could deliver good internet. So we need to see this as a premium. You know, that's the kind of model, premium to the ISP. I'm just ending. Premium to the ISP and premium to the end gamer as a VPN, as a global gaming private network. And by joining these two things, I think we could have a premium product to the end user.
Yeah, so a strong network sort of response to this question. Andreas, what do you think? Is this something that, especially I'm asking you as a business person and as a gamer, do you think that, would you buy this premium connectivity? Would this click with your interest, and also would it clash somehow with fair playing, or it would be okay?
No, it does not clash with fair play at all. To the contrary, I mean, I play for more than 15 years now with my brother, and back in the days it was in our flat here in Vienna, but now he moved back to where we grew up, and that's like 1,000 kilometers away. So what we do is we connect on one server, on the game server, okay, and from the game server it goes to the internet. So all the stuff that Samuel now talked about, and I realized at a later stage that it's not only the connection to the game server, my connection to the game server and his connection to the game server, but also the equipment I have at home, my local area network, the settings I have there. And I think that one thing that the retail department so far did not really came up to is communicating what the wholesale guys are already doing. So especially this audience, the audience to this call now, I assume that most of you rather see themselves in the wholesale part, and you already do a lot of stuff, but please let the retail guys know what you're doing. Okay, if you build up these better connectivities, if you set up VPNs, let the retail guys know that there is something they can sell to a group of people that is ever even growing. And so far we have touched very much on I would say the hardcore gamers, so those on PC and console, but we must not forget that probably 80% of our mobile users are playing games, and that's more casual, okay? But it's an interest, and it's something that is fun and actually engaging. So whatever we do in the core networks needs to find a way and a voice towards the customer in his interest. And yes, I would buy it. I would definitely buy it.
Okay, well, that's the strongest answer. Maybe Vijay, back to you. So of course, I mean, here we've heard two very strong answers. So a clear potential path for potential, or actually even real already, path forward into monetization. other ways, or even better,
Yeah.
other KPIs that telcos should look at? Just initial revenues, but also engagement, communities. Is there
Yes,
anything
yes.
else?
I'm going to kind of initially address both, and I think Andrea's point of there's a wholesale arm of telco. I kind of know the telco industry very well, so that's why I understand as a gamer and the gaming company and the telco. There's a wholesale arm of telco has lots of backbone connectivity to almost everywhere in the world, and they have nodes every country. And then the retail arm, and if you look at the core networking group in a telco, they really do networking just very simply. They don't really look at an application layer routing, right? Basically engineering routes. So for example, if you look at the game publishers, major game publishers, most of the major game publishers, they have peering points established in almost every country. Whether it's Equinix or SmartHub, or if you look at every peering point, Riot, Blizzard, EA, Ubisoft, every one of them have peering points. So simply, a telco should even very simply they can just peer with every game publisher out there, and that will provide a really good optimized routing for the end users. But we don't do, like most of the telcos, I kind of noticed that they don't go to that level. It's actually, for example, Riot initiated this when they moved the League of Legends data center in North America from San Fran, LA to Chicago. They also built their own backbone. They actually went to every telco, guys, peer with us. And so, because they kind of saw that telcos are not doing that, right? They initiated this. I think the telcos, they have the infrastructure today. They can easily peer with every publisher. And most of the smaller games are already in Amazon and Google and Azure. So they can peer they all have peering capabilities in every region. They can peer directly. That will eliminate all the latency issues that have. But let's go beyond. This is foundational connectivity. Some people will pay, but telco has way more than this. What telco has, they have the customer, and there's something called edge computing that, and probably everybody heard about here. Edge computing this is very important for any game delivery. So regardless of how we optimize the routes or whether we use VPN or not, the distance is the distance. Speed of light is speed of light, and the data travels at 70% of the speed of light, and then all the routing. So we cannot save off the latency. However, using the edge computing, we can bring most of the servers closer to the user. So if telco started offering edge computing solution to the publishers and say, publisher, you come over and host your servers in my network. And then I have a local last mile is I can do less than 10 milliseconds to the house if I have a fiber to home. So if you host your server in my network, now telco is going beyond that just connectivity and offering a compute service to the publishers. Every gaming publisher looking for this kind of services. And now go beyond this, streaming. We talk about lots of streaming. You cannot get 4K streaming from Twitch today. The reason is there's no edge computing streaming solution, right? They are really low quality streaming. And talk about Brazil, and I know we are actually focusing on Asia and LATAM. Amazon doesn't even care about LATAM. Right? So there's no real even CDN solution in Brazil. So there are lots of people struggling with getting quality stream. But telcos now offer with the edge computing a streaming solution, whether it's their own streaming solution or just working with these streaming providers like YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and kind of make sure that the CDNs are there in their edge cloud and then offer it. That's additional way of injecting themselves into the whole delivery. So today, not just bandwidth, is going beyond. The third one is, now imagine a telco with millions of subscribers going to a publisher coming up with a new game. This is happening now. This is what we are doing with one of the telcos. I have millions of subscribers. You are having your game coming, a new game. What if I let you host your game in my edge cloud, and I'm going to put your game in my mobile app or my portal. I'm going to spend some marketing dollars to create tournaments and challenges. I will put your game in front of my 30 million, 40 million subscribers. That's a huge value, because in the gaming industry, user acquisition cost is huge. Like just in North America, game companies spend more than $70 billion on acquisition cost. So acquiring new users is important. So now we can let the gamer, the actual telco, inject themselves into a meaningful player into the whole value chain. Not just bandwidth, better routing is their asset. They have it. They should better use it. Now using that to inject more value services to the game publishers and to the gamers.
Yeah, this is absolutely very intriguing, and I'm very interested in Daniel's point of view on this part. Daniel, you have a very broad view of the world on this sector, so please.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what everyone is saying here. I think, from our perspective, we always try and look at the demand from gamers, what they are looking for, what they want to get out of games. And so when it comes to telecoms and the role that they play, honestly, telecoms do play a role across the entire life cycle of a game, from the conceptualization to production to public release to live services to updates to esports. Telecoms are always there, and even at the last mile end in terms of users connecting to those games, they are right there as well. And the big challenge for telecoms is, well, how do you turn this, what is essentially now a commodity in terms of internet access, into value-added services? How do you get not just the gamer who's playing the game to value the telecom, but the game developers, the publishers, the esports tournament holders? How do they play a role in getting to that? And I think that ultimately, there's multiple approaches here where you take a user approach, you take a B2B approach. I think what I think it was Andreas earlier who said that gamers are willing to pay for their games. They want to get the best sort of experience, not just in the game, in terms of gameplay, but in terms of network connectivity as well. They want to ensure that they have the lowest latency, the best download speeds. They want to, really have a great experience, because if they don't have a great experience, they're going to find another game, or they might even switch telecom providers if that is, something that is extremely negative. And the simple fact is that when we look at the gaming market today, especially in China, for example, 18% of gamers there spend more than 30 hours per week playing games. So for many people, this is a hobby, but it's more than a hobby for an even larger amount of people, especially as mobile gaming sort of transitions to more core titles such as Fortnite or Call of Duty Mobile on mobile. So yes, you can certainly offer, for example, value-added gaming services, whether that's VPNs, gaming accelerators, and that's great for the end user. But there's other ways to reach the end user, going through developers, going through publishers. So, for example, if you were to work with a developer to set up a custom server in certain games that people can pay extra for, they know that they will get additional quality from joining that server, from playing with people in that server. That is something that developers and publishers are looking into, something that users ultimately want. And then in addition to that, if you look at, for example, how edge computing, as Vijay said, plays a role, you can further engage users, gamers, by offering them something that is unique to them, offering them something that is providing a superior experience. If you look at the esports side or the live streaming side, esports broadcasts are extremely demanding. They require video packets sent all around the world. They require strong network reliability, capability, and backbones to work. So going back to the example of Riot, for example, they worked with telecoms to set up localized sort of hubs to run their esports tournaments. And who powers that? It's the telecoms. It's you guys essentially that are helping run not just local esports tournaments, but providing the last mile in terms of broadcasting or live streaming. Because again, platforms like Twitch are completely exploding at the moment. Douyu in China, for example, or Asia. And if you're a live streamer, you really want to ensure that you're up all the time. You're not getting any downtime. You're streaming maybe 1080p, 4K, 8K in the future, maybe VR, AR, in the future. And so the people that can enable that are telecoms. And the one complaint I hear all the time from streamers is that ultimately, if their connectivity goes down, they lose viewers, they lose subscribers. They can't, continue to build the audience that they have. And so I think working with live streaming companies and the streamers themselves to build the value of telecom is extremely valuable. The one final thing I'll touch on before handing back is just around, I guess, cloud gaming experiences and how edge computing just play into that as well. Where if you look at, for example, how cloud can enable user acquisition in the future, for example, through playable advertisements in mobile applications, being able to work with a game publisher to provide them with the ability to reach your subscriber base with a playable advertisement. They pay for the advertisement, they pay for the hosting, etc., and you can then power the user by having them jump straight into the game through a cloud computing platform. And so, being able to utilize cloud gaming as it grows in the future and really play a role, not just for the platform holder or the developer and publisher, but for the user, is going to be, I think, one of the big trends moving forward. And I think that it's very obvious, and I'll read it again, but telecoms do play a role across every part of the game ecosystem. And it's just about understanding, okay, how do we target the user? How do we target the developer? How do we target the publisher? And once you get that down, I think it's very easy for telecoms to start having a great brand in gaming that they are recognized for. And we go from not just being a commodity, but to a value-added service provider.
Brilliant. Well, that was also, Daniel, absolutely very insightful. Unfortunately, we're approaching the end of the session, but we have some minutes to take some questions from the audience. And I would like to stay on experience. I was just mentioned, maybe we have time just for this question. If we can just provide a flash for whoever wants to take this, about experience and campaign ads. Ads pop up during the game. Is this a monetization tool or something very annoying for the players that should be avoided at all costs?
If you put an ad in front of, like putting an ad in front of you while you're driving on the highway, so no. Pop-ups during a game, not a good option. Include like banners into the game. So when I have a racing game or something like that, and we have learned from TV that there's ads on somewhere around the track. That is super fine, but no pop-ups.
The other way to kind of
I am very sorry to play that cop here, but we have run out of time, so I have to apologize, Vijay. But I take the opportunity to thank all of you, distinguished panelists, for this conversation today. I hope it was useful for us and for the audience especially. And thanks everyone for having attended today. And I wish a great continuation of the day with the other sessions. Thank you very much, and goodbye from me.
Yes, thank you very much, Filippo and the panel. What a really interesting discussion around e-gaming and the possibilities that this industry has to offer. I just want to once again thank the sponsors for this year's Capacity Europe for showing their support for the event. This has been a session as part of our on-demand series where you can find great session content across digital infra leaders, Europe, global connectivity, future applied, future work, and SMS and messaging tracks. The next Future Applied session taking place is Reality Check, what is going on with European Edge at 1 p.m. British Summer Time. Thank you all for listening and watching this panel session, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the event.